Well, speaking of insane, let's talk about the Browns. So, 2021, 8-9, not exactly a banner year for the Browns, especially with the roster that they thought they were going to have at the beginning of the season. I got a quick trivia question for everybody right now. How many players on the Browns roster, we're not going to include special teams, just offense and defense, how many players played all 17 games for the Browns last season? This is the entire roster.
7.
1.
2.
I was going to say 7 as well. Oh, okay.
It was 2.
I was going to say 2
players. It was our boy D'Ernest Johnson and Myles Garrett. Those were the only 2 players that played the entire season. So that should kind of tell you how or why the Browns maybe didn't have the best year. Obviously, we'll start off with the massive change. They decided to give the most guaranteed money in NFL history to DeShaun Watson. Brought him in from Houston, traded away their entire future. Not really going to get into the legal situation because we don't know where it stands right now. Probably by the time you're listening to this, if you listen back in 2 months, you'll probably know the situation. So we're going to kind of talk about this in 2 different the if he does play and the if he doesn't play segments of this. So we're going to start with the if he does play part of this. So DeShaun Watson's currently going as the QB 14. I still think that might be a little bit scared. That's the underdog ranking right now. I think if he wasn't, maybe he would end up being like quarterback 6, 7, something like that. Maybe, probably about right if he was playing. As far as the running back situation, we got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. We're going to run that back again. Hopefully, I think last year kind of skewed my beliefs on Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt because they don't exactly use them enough to make me think they need to be a first-round pick. If you want Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt to be your second-round pick or even like third round because Kareem Hunt doesn't need to be in the second, that's probably okay. But like, don't expect Nick Chubb to be your main guy on your team. It's just not going to end up working out. He played 14 games last season, 250 touches total between receptions and attempts at rushing. It just wasn't enough. They have a good O-line. They are a very run-heavy team. It's just they are going to use either Nick Chubb and D'Ernest Johnson, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb and anybody else that's on the roster. They're going to use 2 running backs at all times. They're never going to have a featured running back. So that is kind of the problem, I think, with their running back situation. But as long as Stefanski's running the operation, I think you're still good to have them in there. The wide receivers. So we got Amari Cooper, who came in from Dallas. They gave away a 5th-round draft pick trade for him. Pretty good deal, if you ask me. Amari Cooper, 72. He is 27 years old. I don't know why that dyslexia happened right there. He's going as wide receiver 20 right now in underdog. I think that's probably about right. Maybe if if the DeShaun Watson stuff figures it out, he's probably going to be okay to be the wide receiver 1 there, and you could probably take him in the 3rd round or so. Other than that, you got Donovan Peoples-Jones and David Bell being the rookie. I don't really know what you can expect from them just yet. I would say with DeShaun Watson, maybe you have Donovan Peoples-Jones be the Will Fuller role, and David Bell, I'm not quite positive what he's going to be yet because I'm not really positive how they're going to use him in the offense, but I know that he's going to be their 3rd receiver in that offense. And then as you get to tight ends, you got David Njoku, and then that's about it.
Harrison Bryant.
Okay. Harrison Bryant's there, and I appreciate him being there. I would like to see them actually use him this year instead of Njoku, who they just gave all that money to maybe be there more, used more. But other than those 2, I don't even know if you're going to use Harrison Bryant in the 11th round. Don't really think he would be a good enough player to draft very highly. As far as offense goes, guys, what are you all thinking about their offense? This is with DeShaun Watson.
So I do want to throw a name out there real quick.
Okay.
I heard a little birdie that works for the Browns, not for the Browns, but one of their beat writers, was saying that Kareem Hunt is rumored to be on the trade block right now on there. So if you're in rookie drafts, Jerome Ford is a name to monitor out of Cincinnati. Not flashy at all, but might end up being one of the best pure runners in this class. And he is absolutely free. I mean, I think in our draft, the 2 that we just did, he wasn't even drafted. People added him off waivers. So if you're in the 5th round, 4th round, and you just want someone with high upside that might pay out, Jerome Ford is definitely a name to monitor if Kareem Hunt is no longer with the team.
If Kareem Hunt's off the team, I'm grabbing Dearness Johnson and everything.
Me too.
I thought he went to a different team.
Nope.
I believe he's still there.
He's still there. He's our running back 3.
So my thing, Bill, is if DeShaun Watson plays, do you
I'll get to the DeShaun Watson doesn't play here in a second.
I want to ask one question. Do
Sure.
you dislike Nick Chubb if DeShaun Watson plays? Or doesn't play?
Not necessarily. I don't want him. I don't want people to think that he's a first round pick. Like, I don't think he should be in your top 12.
I think he's the top 10 running back easily.
Man, you think so? I just think with a split workload, I don't buy it. I don't think I ever will.
Workload, he still had 2-3 stellar years in a row, and then a 4th stellar rookie year. So
I was good until last year. Last year kind of threw me for a loop, and I think if you add in DeShaun Watson, you're probably taking some of those rushes away that you were going to have.
I can get why you would not like it if DeShaun Watson's playing because
we're not talking about DeShaun Watson not playing yet.
But at the same time, like, I don't know how you rate Nick Chubb in the 3rd round. You guys both ranked him like 10, 15.
Nick Chubb in the 3rd round.
I said the 2nd round. Well, I said the 3rd round because when I did those rankings, it was if DeShaun Watson wasn't playing.
I think mid-second is a.
If he's not playing, I think
value.
he vaults up even higher. Personally,
I don't, because Jacoby Brissett sucks, and I don't want to go down that path.
So
well, actually,
basically,
let's go down that path. Let's go down the path that DeShaun Watson doesn't play. I'll do this very quickly. Probably not a lot on this team that you're going to like. Baker Mayfield's not going to play for this team again. I know a lot of people are like, well, if DeShaun Watson gets suspended, Baker Mayfield's sitting right there. It's not going to happen. It's just not. So you're going to have to trust Jacoby Brissett, and we've seen him throw a bunch of flat ducks of balls out there in Miami. It was just not good. Actually, it was quite sad. It was even sadder when we had to watch him in Indianapolis, and that was 2 years ago at this point. So I don't think I'm going to be able to trust anybody outside of Amari Cooper, and the running backs will be fine. I still think they're bad, though, because why wouldn't you just load up the box against them? I know that that's what the Browns are prepared to do anyway, just have, very run-heavy attack. But we just saw what they did last year. I did not like Nick Chubb last year, so I don't know. I just don't like the vibe if they don't have DeShaun Watson there.
Guy hates having top 10 running backs on his team.
He was very frustrating to have on your team last year.
It was just frustrating. I guess it's because he could have been better. Like, they just didn't allow him to do as much. Like, the Green Bay Packer game last year is the one that I really, really frustrated me with Nick Chubb, because he would get it across the 50-yard line, and then they just take him out and put Dearness Johnson in and let Baker Mayfield throw. And it was like, what the hell are you doing?
He had 27 points that game. You couldn't just take 27 points?
He could have been more. That's what I'm saying. He could have been more. Okay. See, you don't remember the game. Like, you're just looking at the game log. They would take him out of the game when
I understand. I understand that, and it's smart when you have 2 running backs.
Billy lost some money on that game.
I lost respect for Kevin Stefanski on that game, because Nick Chubb could have had a incredible 40-point performance that game.
Oh, he would have had I remember that game. You're right. He could have had he could have ended that game.
Hook him out and put him on the sideline. Like, even like the cameraman would flash over to the sideline, and Nick Chubb would be there getting some water, and it's like, they're on the 30. Let's get him in there. He didn't. They lost that game.
He did a lot of taking him out inside the 20.
Stefanski took the game off of his back and put it on Dearness Johnson and Baker Mayfield, and they lost the game. So
that's because Baker Mayfield's bad.
Well, he's also injured.
All right, I'm just gonna say that I politely disagree. I think it was frustrating, but I think running back 13 in PPR while missing, what do you miss? 3 games?
3 games.
Is on the Browns, mind you, a team where there was not a lot of touchdown equity. There wasn't a lot of offense to even be had.
It's a very run-heavy offense where they run most of the time. So should be probably a run-heavy offense having a running back 13 should be quite sad, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but he only missed 3 games. So
Derrick Henry's on a run-heavy offense, and he was about to be the running back one
Derrick Henry's
again.
also getting 30 carries a game, not 2021.
And Nick Chubb should too. That's the point.
Well, I agree with you, but this is reality. This isn't. You can't compare people. You can't comparing someone to Derrick Henry is like, what are you doing? Like, okay, like, come on.
I'm not saying they're
Nobody
talented,
gets
but the
30 carries in
opportunity
this
should
league.
be about the same. Well, they should.
They probably
Derrick
had
Henry.
limited his carries, which is smart because you want to keep this man on your team for longer.
All right.
So-
well, in fantasy football, you don't have the opportunity to limit carries and coach a player. Like you have to just take them as they come. And
And he's still a top 10 running back.
He just said 13 in PPR. Is that top 10?
That was last year. We're projecting this year with DeShaun Watson at the helm.
We're talking about this year. We're talking about
I still think it'd be running back
All right.
10. I just don't think it'd
Okay,
be running
we
back
have
10.
him at RB14.
Yes, which is right.
And that's going
That is
around
about
Aaron
right.
Jones, James Conner, David Montgomery, Saquon Barkley.
That's who you're looking at. That's who you're looking at. That's literally who you're looking
all
at.
other than Montgomery. Actually, no, I'd take him over all of those people.
I would take Aaron Jones and James Conner over Nick Chubb.
They're around
In
the
a
same.
PPR.
They're the same guy. Like that's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying. They're the same guy this year. Like that's who he's going to be. We can try to project something different, but it's what he's going to be.
I'm seeing some really stellar stats on the screen, and I think that it's going to continue.
Okay, well, I don't know what good that does if he's still going to finish running back 14.
He's not though. He's gonna get like 300 carries, Billy. Like, look.
Why?
At
If they have DeShaun Watson, why the hell would he get 300 carries? DeShaun Watson to sign that.
Because DeShaun Watson's frail. He hasn't been getting his massages. He hasn't been able to.
You think they just paid him that amount of money to
not
let him
facial
use
releases,
the ball?
man.
Are you all
He's
crazy?
frail. They're beefing
They
up.
gave
the
him more
offensive
money
line
than
just
Patrick
to protect
Mahomes
him.
to let Nick Chubb run the offense. Are y'all
He bruises
crazy?
easily. Okay, he put that on the waiver. He bruises.
Okay, well, this is
easily.
why I have Stefanski.
All
By
right,
the way,
Billy, can you
we'll
talk
get to the
about
defense here in a
something else?
second. This is why I have Kevin Stefanski getting fired after this year, because if they give Nick Chubb 300 touches and they're going to lose a bunch of games if they do that, he will be gone at the end of the season and they'll get a pass-heavy coach in there. So Kevin Stefanski, hot seat. The fire is lit, my friend. Let's get on to the defense.
2019 was such a tease for Nick Chubb. 298 attempts, 49 targets. And what a world we were living in, boys.
It was a beautiful thing.
Before the
Wow.
pandemic.
Won't see that again. I can guarantee you that. Anyway, let's get on to defense. Myles Garrett is the obvious stud on this tier 1 in the dynasty or the IDP index. Not really anything to say. He is like an apex predator of a defensive lineman. One of the few that you're going to want to put onto your team. Past that, though, so Anthony Walker and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah are the 2 linebackers you're going to be after on this team. Both of them, I think, are usable. They were both very good last year. Both of them had a little bit of stint on the, not IR, but they were just out a couple of games for injury. I think Joker had COVID at one point as well. But both of those players, I think, are viable. You're probably not going to draft them very high as linebackers, but as your second linebacker or maybe your flex option, they're good linebackers. As far as their secondary goes, it's a mishmash bunch. I don't really love any of them. Grant Delpit, we've been waiting for years for him to finally hit. Denzel Ward is good when he's completely healthy, but if he's even like a tick off, it's way off, and I don't really understand that either. And then John Johnson, I think he's tier 3 in the IDP index, and John Johnson's a usable safety. He's not the first or second one that you're after probably on your team, but he will be there in that top 12 discussion, I believe, probably.
They played him a little bit more deep last year. It felt like the guy. If you want to get he's still probably gonna be a player you want on your team. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying like the 12-13 range, like that type.
No, I'd say even a tier down. I'd say maybe like in that 24 to 30 range this year. I'm hesitant to put him that high, even though I think it might be in his range of outcomes. I don't think you need to pay up for that this year, so don't.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, you don't have to pay up for John Johnson. I think you're going to get the value, if you stay later. Is there anybody? Oh, and I got to mention my boy Perrion Winfrey. Love him so much. He is a D tackle, so it's going to be a little tough to justify having him on your team. He's a backup defensive tackle, but I just love him. I think he's going to get on the field at some point. He is just one of those guys that gives his heart on every play. Me and Joe fell in love with this kid at the Senior Bowl. He was the best player on the field all of the days that we ended up watching, including the game where he won the most valuable player of. But he's just the best one, and I think the Browns really got a good player there, and I could see him being a disruptor. I would love to see if that translates into good stats from the D tackle position, but I think he's somebody that you should at least roster maybe late just in case.
We did love
Any
him
thoughts
at the
on the
Senior Bowl,
defense?
man.
Yeah, he was good. We loved him.
We did. Loved him.
They redid Clowney. I'm not into that at all.
No,
Clowney,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm done trying to make him a thing.
Yes.
I like
It's
Walker. I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is probably getting. I mean, he'll probably be good. I don't know if he has a monster type of season this year. We'll just have to kind of see. I think
I just think by the time the season starts, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah will be going over Anthony Walker in most drafts, and I think that's probably a mistake.
That's
stick with Anthony Walker.
Yeah, that's where you're gonna find your value. I think Myles Garrett probably. I mean, for me, he's second or third defensive player I'd probably take. Defensive line, he's my second guy probably, but he's in a tier with a couple other guys that I'm okay with. I did just make a trade for him recently in a dynasty league, so I think that people are. I don't want to say underwhelmed in dynasty for what he's been, but I know it can be frustrating watching him because he does leave. It's just sometimes you'll see him on the play, but he just doesn't ever finish plays. And that's not to say he isn't a finisher, but you can watch him on the field, 30, 40 snaps in a row, and he doesn't come in any real contact with point making. So that can be frustrating on a Monday night. And then that's juxtaposed against a guy like TJ Watt, who is touching the ball on literally at least once, or the ball carrier basically every set of downs. So, but on the flip side, when Myles Garrett goes off, I mean, he can have 3, 4, 5 sacks. He can force, and he's a fumble forcer, so he'll be
playing every game. Like he played every game last season. I mean, some games he left injured. I get that.
I just don't think he's not that alpha apex guy for fantasy like TJ Watt is. And I mean, his points last year, he had 268. TJ Watt had 373, and TJ Watt missed 3, 4, 5 games last year. So it's just on a point per snap basis. And I've brought this up before. I'm not, I'm just saying he is in that next tier down. Just remember that at defensive line. And there are other guys in that area that you could, kind of maybe replace that value with. Now, again, if you're just a Garrett fan, though, go crazy. But he's the only guy on that side of the ball that I'm probably targeting this year, or Ronnie Harrison.
I was just going to ask you about Ronnie Harrison.
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah.
I mean, he was very useful
Harrison
last year. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Ronnie Harrison. I'm just waiting for him to play 1,000 snaps in a year, because when that happens, it's going to be money.
Yeah.
So
So
he's someone to keep an eye on.
I think Myles Garrett. The problem with Myles Garrett is where he's going to get taken in drafts. You probably don't want him. He's probably going to go in the top 5, and that's probably way too rich for Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
But if you get him 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, that's not bad.
Yeah, I would say more for the end of the first round. I feel like, Jordan, you said a lot of contradictory things there. I feel like you don't like Myles Garrett. You said you liked him.
He doesn't like Myles Garrett.
No,
Okay.
it's not that I don't like Myles Garrett. I like Myles Garrett. I as an IDP fantasy football content creator, and as one who is not just, part of the herd, just going wherever everybody else is going, have many years now. I mean, TJ Watt and Myles Garrett have been in the league for 4 or 5 seasons in a row now. And
so if you're comparing him to TJ Watt,
That's
yes.
how
But
you
if you're
compare
comparing
him
him
to
to
TJ Watt.
every other,
Argument.
but that's what you. That is what you said earlier. You were like against TJ Watt. Okay,
well, that's what the context. What I'm saying is the world we live in now, where people understand that TJ Watt is better, isn't the world that I've been living in the past 3 or 4 years. I've been having to tell people that that's the fact and show people that's the fact. So I think I'm trying to reiterate that fact that not only are they different, but they're to the people that have had Myles Garrett ranked ahead of TJ Watt, that was foolishness. Like, that's how different they are. So that's what I'm talking.
Man,
straight
we're
point.
doing the Steelers preview a little early, aren't we?
I'm just talking straight points. And again, and that's the thing too. We're in the same division, so I know there's that too. And I mean, it's straight up points per point, snap per snap. TJ Watt does so much more, and it's always, oh, Myles Garrett's gonna be all pro, defensive player of the year. I mean, every talking head in the NFL the past
See, now
5
that
years,
right there is exactly why I know you're
they've tried
saying
to make
this.
him the defensive player of the year in the offseason. They've tried to get that conversation going every year of his career. That's all I'm saying. So I want people to know that, yes, he is amazing and he's great, but there's a tier of like 4, 5, 6 different defensive line players that you can draft that are just as great and amazing as him, that you're going to get 40, 50, 60, 70 picks later in a draft. Okay. That's what I'm saying. So when you're trying to say a 1-for-1, that's what I'm saying.
Real quick, that was my whole argument is you keep comparing him to TJ Watt. TJ Watt is number 1. And then Myles Garrett is in that 2, 3, 4 category. You know what I mean? Like there is a huge gap there. I mean, the only other person that would be close to that would be Aaron Donald, but he plays defensive tackle and a little bit different, but he still gets the points. But that's my thing is Myles Garrett is a phenomenal player. I feel like you were shadowing him like, oh, you don't want him on your team.
During the Browns preview, we're just talking about Myles Garrett being a good player, and he's like, well, he's not as good as TJ Watt. Why are you even saying that?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, fuck me.
There's
I get it.
2 guys I would want above Myles Garrett, and it's pretty much Nick Bosa and TJ Watt, unless you count Micah Parsons as a D-line, which right now he has that eligibility.
He is DL eligible.
But other than that, at that point, it's 3 or 4.
In Jordan's defense, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, I mean, they're going, 15, 20 picks after Garrett?
I'd rather
Brian Burns.
Nick's
right there. A guy like Brian Burns.
I like Brian Burns a lot. We'll get to that in the other preview.
I mean, he only put up like 50 points less than him. I mean, you can basically pick him up at the end of drafts right now.
Okay, right, so anyway. The moral of the story, we hate Myles
Everybody
Garrett.
hates Myles Garrett except for me and Billy.
We hate him.
I like Myles Garrett.
Billy, it's funny that you did call me out for being a Steelers fan, but you at no point during your little Browns spiel here have you said, I am a Browns fan.
That's
because I'm not.
He's not.
Because I'm not a Browns fan.
Mayfield is a Browns fan.
I thought you were.
All right, guys.
I'm not a Browns fan.
I knew. What happened?
Okay, we're getting.
He's a Mayfield guy.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, you're a Baker Mayfield fan.
Exactly. See, he's got the goods.
And he's trash.
Number 6.
Got it.
Baker Mayfield.
He's about to be a Seahawks fan.
All right, exactly. But we'll get to that when we get to the NFC West. I'm prepared. All right, so we don't have an over-under for wins yet because of the DeShaun Watson legal situation. I do want to add in before we get to the schedule, Joe. I hate Kevin Stefanski, and I think he's going to get fired after this season. Book that. If you can book – I don't think he's going to be the first coach fired, but I think he is definitely going to be fired after the season, and they're going to get a coach in there that is going to be more DeShaun Watson pass-oriented than I think Kevin Stefanski is going to be this year. If DeShaun Watson plays a lot. If DeShaun Watson doesn't play, I don't know what that leaves them with. Maybe this is just a lame duck year for him anyway. I don't know. All I'm saying, Kevin Stefanski, the fire is lit, my friend. Joe, give us the schedule.
The hot take, man. I love it. So do you want to have some fun with this one and say hypothetically Watson does play?
Yes, we're going to do this as if Watson played the entire season.
Okay. So we're going to start off with the Panthers, the Jets, the Steelers, the Falcons, the Chargers, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Bengals. And we got a bye week. And then we're going to do Dolphins, Bills, Bucks, Texans, Bengals, Ravens, Saints, Commanders, Steelers. I'm still not used to saying Commanders.
I got 9. Maybe 10.
With DeShaun Watson, the number will be 9 or 8.5 or 9.5.
I was thinking 9 would be the number with DeShaun Watson.
With DeShaun Watson for how many games?
The whole season.
The whole season. I'm gonna give him. I give him 10 wins.
I was thinking more of. I'm still under.
I was actually thinking maybe even 11.
I just don't think this roster is close to the Bengals, and Bengals are at 10.
Yeah, I would give him 9, but that's including, in my opinion, DeShaun Watson's inevitable suspension of 4 or 6 games or something.
I just feel like no, I'm not even gonna get into it.
I think we like as a fantasy player, DeShaun Watson's great. Is he going to be able to get this roster to 10, 11 wins? I don't think so.
I just
don't think so. I don't think so.
I think the addition of Cooper and the keeping intact of running backs, unless they trade Hunt, I think that they're an easy 9-win game, 9-win team. So
it seems like a nice like fantasy roster of like you put all these pieces together and it should work.